Discovery Weekly.
Welcome to Discovery Weekly, a bonus show from the podcast Discovery Show where we talk about everything else we've discovered throughout the week. I'm Zach.
I'm Kirk.
And we have a very special guest joining us. It's Keith from Pop-Up Filmcast. Thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me back again.
Always a pleasure, buddy. And I discovered something this week that I needed to tell you guys about because I don't know if you've looked into it either. Do you know anything about the lottery system in the United States?
Like the
lottery, the Florida lottery, Powerball, Mega Millions, all these goodies.
You can't win if you don't play?
Yes, that is true. But this is something that is actually run by the government, which that's what I was curious about, because they always talk about, we've paid out billions of dollars to people. Like that's what made me go down this rabbit hole is I saw they said, we've made 1,000 millionaires. And I was like, okay, so how much money have you made? Like how much does that mean is turned to you? And so I started looking at this, and there is 45 states that have the lottery, plus Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. It's pretty funny because, okay, some of the ones who don't have it, you have Alabama, who doesn't have it for religious reasons. Same with Utah.
What? Okay.
Yeah. So I guess.
I'm sorry, what religious reasons in Alabama?
Gambling bad?
Gambling is bad.
I guess.
I
is that
like,
biblical?
I understand,
don't know
I'm guessing because the Mormons in Utah, I guess I could understand that. But
yeah, but they don't believe in caffeine. That I can get more. They're more, they've picked more things.
But like, is there a certain religious sect that's in Alabama that's not in like Georgia or Mississippi that's against gambling?
I don't think so. I think that they just hate.
I think they just have
money.
very much slower legislation than other places.
Yeah, possibly true.
Nick Saban says you can't gamble.
Yeah, that was all it took.
That's what it is. I mean,
that's all it took.
Yeah.
But okay, so Mississippi just passed it in 2018 to create a lottery, but they didn't have it because they didn't want anybody competing with the casinos, and that's why Vegas doesn't have it
with Biloxi.
Yeah, no, because they didn't want people to gamble that way. They want people to gamble at the casino. And that's why Vegas does it too. So Nevada doesn't have
Vegas
it either.
Didn't. That's funny.
Yeah, no lottery.
All gambling is legal except for lotto.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
No government.
This is great. I never knew that there were states that didn't have it. I knew at one point in time there were states that had Mega Millions, but not Powerball.
Yes. So there's a lot because each state has their own. And what it does is it's state revenue. That is like tax revenue, which you can start getting into. How wonky is it that they're taking money for state revenue based on lottery? Dicey, but that's what they're doing, and they're bringing in billions of dollars, like a ridiculous amount. So they said they raised $17 billion in 2009, and
oh my god!
And there's 11 states
billion in 1 year in 2009
in a long time ago year. Yeah.
Okay, and that was okay. What was the major jackpot back then? Nowadays they're getting to $1 billion.
Yeah. And like 11 states
forever ago
collected more revenue from their state lottery than from corporate income tax. So just weigh that one out, everybody. You might start to see an issue happening, but it's a ridiculous amount of money. And then it gets to how this all started. So
Amazon paid less tax than what the lottery.
Yes. But they think that the first lotteries in the U.S. were in the colonial era. They said that they found newspaper advertisements for at least 392 lotteries held in the 13 colonies. And they essentially were immediately corrupt. So shocking. But all of them were immediately corrupt. There was a big case that essentially started this whole higher level of scrutiny, because there was a Supreme Court case, because there was, let me see, I think it was DC. Yeah, it was to beautify DC, and they never paid it out. So essentially they would just take tickets from people and they would just never pay. So it's like, well, that's genius in a you're terrible type of way. So that became like this whole thing. But then the government run like US lottery was actually started in Puerto Rico in 1934. And then the next one was New Hampshire. And they started doing scratch offs. And so the entire thing is essentially light taxation. It's taxation with a chance that they give you a bunch of money for like one person. But no, I just thought it was a really interesting thing because I'd never really looked into how it was all running. I knew they had to make ridiculous money, but I just saw them
one
saying
person's winning $1 billion, they've got to make like $15 billion. You know, it's got to be like an insane amount.
So
does it have
part of
the
this
more the more modern numbers?
all they have on this Wikipedia article is essentially just those profit numbers from then. But I guarantee you can look them up somehow because if it's run by the state, it's got to be available.
Yeah, so I'm looking at on Wikipedia the lottery jackpot records, and so like you're talking about like how much they get, like the cut that they take off of it. The number one largest was $1,586,000,000, and that paid out, and that was a Powerball, January 13th, 2016. And that paid out a cash value of $983 million.
Wow.
So that, I mean,
that's like that's a little bit over 1.5, like maybe like 1.75, like investment or whatever. That's interesting. That's actually a lot of money
that's a lot of money that they kept out of that. And most of these like really, really large ones are all from the last, 10 years. But there is one here on the list because they're going through. It's like all the top ones.
Yeah,
I remember way back in the day.
Right now,
there was one time last year. One time
where it broke
at
$1
some
billion?
point like both of them were both were at like a very high level.
I did play during that time because
I did too.
I spent like $3 and I might become a billionaire. Okay, I'll just take that chance.
Yeah. Those are ones where I call my family and I'm like, all right, you guys are in Illinois. You buy some. We'll buy some in Georgia. My dad's in Arizona. I'm like, Dad, you buy some out there. Like, let's spread it around. Somebody back in 2000 won $363 million. They bought $2 worth of the big game, which
that is amazing.
So it's $90 per ticket.
So have you noticed that some places will only sell you a ticket if it's cash? Have you guys had that?
I think there was rules on that for a while.
Because, the gas station near our work, Zach, the one right off the interstate, they won't sell it to you unless you have cash. You can't use a debit card even. Just has to be cash. Publix is the same way. I thought you meant like the way that you collected the money. Because you can either have the cash value, which I do believe they suggest you take the cash value because the interest you'll earn overall will get you. Yeah, if you
more than that
invested anywhere.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, you could just buy a bunch of Lamborghinis in a house.
Well, I think it's something like even just the interest alone on so 3 different people won that one in 2016. That was for like $1.5 billion. The average winning was $327 million per ticket because 3 tickets won out of there. Still nice. Yeah. So, but they say like if you take that, even just the interest alone on that you can get, like, is going to help you earn more money that way than if you take the annuity where they break it out and they pay you X amount per year. Because obviously, if you get $10 million right now versus $100 million right now, you're gonna.
I think the key is that you got to have that self-control to not just blow it all because that's not going to get you any interest.
My wife, although she would very much be excited if we won the lottery, she's also like, we can't win the lottery, Keith, because you will buy dumb stuff.
How much Lego do you think you would buy, Keith?
A store.
He just broke his brain.
I will walk into a store on any given Tuesday and I will buy it out.
He's going to build a podcast recording studio entirely out of Lego.
Yeah, I probably would. Yes. No. Yeah. I would but also like old school toys and stuff. Like I would have so much junk. Like I saw something online the other day of like, it was like a stupid thing of like somebody was selling trading cards and I was like, they were dumb ones and they wanted like $150. And I'm like, man, if I had the lottery, I'd buy this just for the fun of just opening these stupid little packets of cards that there's no value to them at all. But I was like, this will just be fun because I have money. I don't care what to do with it because I won the lottery.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
But my wife was like, no, this is why we can't do this. She's like, we already have too much. You already already have too much junk. And that's without winning the lottery. So, I mean, as much as I want to, honestly, if I won the lottery, like I would probably buy an island before I bought anything else. And then I tell my wife, we'll just disappear. Except for the shipments of Lego and stuff that show up at the house. But,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. That's fascinating stats on the lottery because I didn't know anything about that either. Here's some other fascinating stats. There are many causes of power outages: storms, falling branches, and lightning. But you probably won't believe us when we tell you that one of the most common causes of electrical power loss is the nut-loving squirrel you typically find in your backyard. In fact, and I'm reading this verbatim, by the way, I didn't write nut-loving squirrel. Squirrels were placed second in the list of top causes of power outages that the American Power Association published. The main questions are how and why. So they're second biggest cause of power outages, which is hilarious. And I think this is a local, like kind of like a local paper somewhere. And because they talk about one, it's like if we were to talk about TECO, like Tampa Electric. I think that's what this is about.
Someplace local where it's a slow news day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So according to Joe Gerds, director of Huntsville Utilities, squirrels usually mount utility poles and make contact with electrical equipment at different electrostatic potentials. He said that the body of the animal becomes an energy conductor. With one bite or slip on the power line, the ill-fated squirrel meets an untimely death while causing a blackout to an entire community. While some people may joke about the occurrences, the scope of this threat is rather grave. Chris Thompson, a strategist at Tenable Network Security, spearheaded a project called Cyber Squirrel 1.
Cyber Squirrel.
The project shows a petrifying map. I love how they just play it up. So a petrifying map of squirrel attacks on American power grid.
Squirrel attacks.
I do like that they make this very hostile.
As of today. And I want to know when this was written. Like there's not a date because I want to see, is this like
the squirrel
January
nut conspiracy?
As of today, the website has already listed 1,252 power grid damages caused only by squirrels. It's just so intense. That's an intense article, but it is funny. I did not know that squirrels were the second leading cause of power outages.
What's number one? Just like trees?
I'm assuming either trees or lightning.
Or people.
The most significant number of outages was probably recorded in 2016. According to the American Public Power Association, there were about 3,456 squirrel-related power outages that cut off the electricity to more than 193,873 customers in 2016.
I mean, this seems like a really easy and logical thing to wrap my head around. I mean, it's especially with the big bushy tail. I mean, they run along and get some static electricity going and pop, boom. They get fried and the whole neighborhood goes out.
Yeah, they never even knew that they did it.
So, Kirk, does the article go into like, does this cost a lot of money to like start things back up, or is this like they knock it out? But it's like like a quick thing, like flipping the switch on your own home, like on the electric at home, like damn, I'm missing the word. Isn't coming to my head. But when you go and you have to like flip the little switch on the box in your garage or something like that.
Oh, the breakers.
The breakers. Yeah. So is this like they just have to go hit a breaker, or is this like they have to replace full lines? And so this is a huge expensive thing that squirrels are causing?
They don't really, they talk about the way they categorize costs. So the average cost for low impact scenarios is about $0 to $250. On the other hand, the average cost of catastrophic impact is $1 million or higher. And they don't say how much that is caused by squirrels. Like
they don't say how much the squirrel menace is impacting that.
Yeah. Well, you get a whole lot of $250 minor damage. It adds up.
I mean, I'm predicting the war on squirrels being announced pretty soon then.
I'm thinking that this is a Russian attack.
Trained Russian squirrels.
Power grid. They have trained squirrels to do this.
It would be so stupid that it's genius.
It's like that lady. Have you guys heard of that?
On Pop-Up Filmcast. That's what it sounds like.
Have you heard of that lady in New York that would train rats to do stuff for viral video things? She's the one that trained that pizza rat. She trained Pizza Rat.
I don't know what Pizza Rat is.
Oh, Pizza Rat's a rat that just would go around like
eating people.
It was a viral video of a rat like in the subway station
to make it eat pizza.
I forget what he did like that was more unique, but it was just like it was a viral thing, and it was literally a publicity stunt by this person that goes like unnamed. They have like their own like weird like pseudo. Anyway,
look,
she trains I lived in small rodents to do crazy stuff.
I would not mess with a single rat there. I once saw a small kitten walk by a garbage can where I had just seen a rat, and I was scared for the kitten.
Things are mean.
Yeah, does not seem like a good plan there with that. Squirrels, on the other hand, I mean, they're very intelligent. I don't know if you guys ever watched
apparently.
Well, if you watch that the guy, the YouTube video guy, Mark Rober.
Mark Rober.
Oh, those videos are great.
And he does a second one where, like, when you watch it, the one squirrel, like, he puts together this whole maze, and the squirrel goes all around the outside of the maze looking at it, then goes back through. And then when one of the other squirrels tries to go through, that squirrel goes on the outside of the maze and like is helping like point the way to like which way to go and go through. So I think this leans more into the fact that like the squirrels are probably doing this on purpose.
I'm telling you, these are Russian squirrels.
Menace.
They're going to team up with the squids, and we're all going to be in trouble. And that's the octopus, and we're all going to be in trouble.
I am wondering which two animals, if they teamed up, could destroy America. And I think squirrels is definitely a part of it.
Squirrels riding on octopi that have come up on land,
or on ravens,
the whole army. Yeah, because ravens hold grudges.
Yeah, it's just a vindictive combo.
The squirrels they're hanging out on a power line. The raven is very annoyed and upset and vindictive. Starts talking to the squirrel. They explain it. The squirrel's like, "Yeah, we need to attack. Let's do this now." And they just start taking out power lines left and right. This sounds like a very possible thing.
I think we need to be invited back on Pop-Up Filmcast because I think I have a good idea, Zach.
I think we have another trilogy set up here. Possibly could happen. I actually like this idea quite a bit, but they in those two videos that Mark Rober did, they came across being very intelligent.
Yeah. They really did.
And all
they were learning. They were learning as they failed.
Some of them were. I like the fat one. The fat one was my favorite. The pregnant one.
Great.
And then they found out it was a girl.
Yeah.
She was pregnant. Yeah.
So they changed it to PHAT.
And then she was just chilling. She was just eating nuts for her babies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They really seem like I would find it hard to believe that they would just continue to do this over and over again. Because I imagine if they're knocking out the power, they're not having a good survival rate for the squirrel either.
I don't think that if you lose power, it was very good for the squirrel.
Yeah, I think it's a squirrel barbecue simultaneously.
Yeah, but that is interesting. Somebody posted a picture. I think it was Paul Chomo from Hermits. He posted a picture one day where I think it was like snakes going across the electric lines. I don't know where they were at for it. But that seems like that's probably another thing that would take out a lot of power and cause problems.
Yeah, I can assume. And that also sounds terrifying.
It is very.
What do you got, Keith, as your first discovery?
All right. So my discovery here is, and I'm excited to come back on here and talk to you guys about this. Over the pandemic, I learned about some stuff, and then I went down a huge, big time rabbit hole of it. And that is diecast cars, so like Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars, but racing them.
What? I didn't even know they did that. I used to have tons of Hot Wheels.
Well, I have a lot of them now.
I saw a whole YouTube video where someone would put them on a treadmill. I really liked it because they would have all the different ones lined up, and then they would turn the treadmill on fast, and you would see which ones would like get all shaky and fall back. Yeah.
By the way, if you need this part out, but this is why I was trying to ask you if I brought this up last time that we talked. I don't think I did because I learned about it slightly after. So this is like a huge, huge thing. And I don't know if it's just since the pandemic and it's picked up or what, but there's one group, one YouTube channel in particular called 3D Bot Maker. And they run these races called King of the Mountain, along with a couple other ones. But basically what it is like they take, it's like the model trains. And so they set up like, with all the dioramas and a whole thing. And they've got all this stuff going together. And then they have this track that they send cars down. And they do 4 cars at a time. They go in a set of 5 races. And you get so many points for each race that you win. And the winners move on. And so they do it like twice a year where in their case, they have people that are then modifying cars. Like you buy a car at the store, you take the bottom off, you put it on different wheels, you repaint it, stuff like that, send it in. And that's for their like King of the Mountain one where they have all these different modified ones. But they'll take like 64 cars and eventually narrow it down to just one car at the end in a winner. But they've got, and I keep saying this little behind the scenes thing that I've learned through all in watching this is there's one guy, but he does 2 different voices. I don't know exactly how he's obviously just manipulating the audio, but it is it's like a flawless back and forth conversation.
That is the weirdest part of this I've heard so far.
Yeah. So it's commentary. They do color commentary through the whole thing. And that's just one. And there's a place called redlinederbyracing.com where they actually have a listing of the tracks. There's like a directory. There's at least 150 different tracks on here, and they are of all different levels and effort that people put in. So like 3D Bot Maker, their stuff is really top level activity going on. But there's other people where it's just they have like the Hot Wheels 6-lane track with some extra track added to it. It's just there in their basement, and they will run races off of that. Some people will talk over it. Some people just play music over it. But there's all types of these, and it is. I don't know if it's exactly because of like the pandemic that a lot of extra stuff took off. Like people were just like, well, we're at home. Let's see what's in the attic. And they just found a bunch of cars and stuff. And then they decided to make tracks. There is one group out of Australia, Chaos Canyon. They also do a thing where it's like an ESPN type thing that they do once a week, where they go and they check out different tracks all over YouTube and they put a whole clip show together to tell you like who's doing stuff. They even show like on this page, you can narrow it down. And I'll send you guys an actual link and stuff like that. But like they have like, drag strips where it's just like straight away. They have open road courses. There's laned road courses. There's trick tracks. There's all these different type of things that you can go through and check out. 3D Bot Maker though is the main one. It has got me to be very much into paying attention to diecast cars and actually buying a lot of them. I have a track right behind me as well that me and my kids run races on. Sometimes me without them, probably more me without them. But they do. This is I never really knew how big of a thing this was.
I did not know this was a thing at all.
Yeah, no, it is a like there's a couple Facebook groups on, and then that leads you all into like can lead you down an even bigger rabbit hole of, hey, there is people who will they do diecast modifications. Again, people will go, they'll buy a car at the store for $1, take it home, they take it apart, they put new wheels, they do a paint job, and then they can turn around and resell it to somebody for $40 or $50.
What?
That sounds like a good deal.
The aftermarket
on the selling part, not the buying part.
Yeah, but it's like an art project. So you get a good thing there. But then you also run into, obviously, as you do with like any toy, Lego, action figures, anything like that. You get people who will go, they'll buy up all the good stuff at the store, then they'll throw it up on eBay or Facebook Marketplace and try to make a huge profit off it. Whether it's Hot Wheels has treasure hunts, super treasure hunts. They're harder to find, but and I could go on and on about stuff I learned about diecast cars. But I dropped a link in the chat for you guys to put into the show notes and all. But 3D Bot Maker is probably the main thing that I'll be looking to introduce everyone to here.
Fascinating.
Well, I read about something called a Garden Hermit. Garden Hermits were literally a hermit that lived in your garden. And this became a thing.
Like a person?
Yes, primarily during the 18th century. They would build places to have a random hobo live on their property. And it was all wealthy people. So, I mean, you kind of just get like, it was just rich dukes who were bored, I guess. And they would encourage the hermits to dress like druids and remain permanently, where they would be fed, cared for, and consulted for advice or viewed for entertainment. And apparently they first became popular with British aristocracy during the 18th and early 19th centuries. And essentially they became just like kind of
a court jester.
Yeah, but they lived in the lawn somewhere. So you just like walk outside. It's like, oh, there's Kevin.
A living hermit. I mean, a living garden gnome.
Yeah. Yes, exactly that. But yeah, you'd walk out and then Kevin would be sitting in his cave. And you're like, hey, Kevin, what are you doing over there? And he'd say something weird. And then you go back inside and eat something.
Kevin.
Stupid Kevin.
I'm going to go eat some caviar.
And that's it. That was literally their whole thing. And
I'm just picturing a lot of like really rich guys who are like, you know, they're like, oh yeah, I got this brand new garden hobo, garden hermit, and it's better than the one that so and so has, and they're all like competing for who's got the best like garden hermit type thing, and it's depending where they were and stuff, probably borderline on some very questionable ethical things, but
am sure that it did. And that's basically the kind of thought that I had, and I want to ask you guys about. What do you think a garden hermit would look like now? So if good old Jeffrey Bezos had a garden hermit, what would they be about?
Doesn't?
I mean, he could.
He doesn't? I think he does.
No, I mean, I could definitely see it.
Definitely does.
He has a giant dong-shaped spaceship. Why wouldn't you have a garden hermit?
Oh, Elon Musk definitely has at least two. Yeah, I mean, I guess like Kirk was saying, it's like a garden gnome. Like you would want them dressed like that. And you probably have like. Go ahead.
I wonder if they would try and outdo each other by like, oh, Justin Bieber is my garden hermit, and then they'd just be like, oh, well, I'm gonna get somebody that's, you know what I mean? I would wonder if they would want somebody to like live beneath their station now. You know, they don't just want some like weird dude that lives in the bushes. They want somebody that shouldn't be living in the bushes but does.
Oh, like a celebrity garden hermit?
Yeah. Ooh, they would want to really show off that way. That's what I think
they
would do.
CBS this fall. Celebrity Garden Hermit.
Celebrity Garden Hermit. Dude, they've jumped the shark on singing shows, by the way. I just really watching football the other day and there was commercials. I never watch commercials anymore, but football, you can't get around it.
Sports. They get you with the commercials.
And there's this new singing competition where, first of all, there's got that whole like Masked Singer, which is ridiculous. And it looks so stupid. I've never watched it. Is it good?
Yeah.
Is it at least entertaining? Like,
yes, it is.
Okay. It just looks so stupid. I don't feel like I would enjoy it. But the other thing they're doing is like, it's basically the same thing, but the singer is in like a green screen suit and the judges only see like a digitized avatar of them. It's like, what is happening right now?
And they air them back to back, which is really weird.
Yes.
It's basically the same show.
They're just getting further and further from reality of that ever being a person.
Some people didn't want to dress in a furry costume, so they put them in an avatar instead, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's different strokes.
Kirk, was that your next?
No, that was not. I discovered that I hated that stuff and it's annoying. So my last discovery this week is about a place, and we're going to take a trip over to Australia to learn about my Atlas Obscura Weekly. I think I still need a better name.
By the way, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't come across as moving us on or anything like that. I just didn't know if that was your actual next discovery was the other singing show.
It was not. I hate that.
Well, I mean, I have the next pitch for him. If there's kind of going down that, it's the Masked Garden Hermit, and you have to figure out who the celebrity garden hermit is by them just doing something in the bushes over there.
Yeah, I mean, but I think you were onto something there, Zach. Like it starts out where people just have garden hermits, but then you're like, Bezos is like, look, let's get, for a week, let's get, Britney
Banksy.
Spears, Banksy. Yeah. Let's have anybody like, let's get Daft Punk over here as our Garden Hermits of the week. And they pay out big money because they're going to have like a party or something like that. But then normal weeks, they just have some guy that they found on the street someplace.
Then it's just Kevin. If it's not Daft Punk, it's Kevin.
Yeah. But like, I also imagine like these guys, not only are they having like better, they're trying to have like better hermits, but like little hobbit, like Shire type things for them. Like they're shelling out big money for like, oh, I want to go be the hermit at so-and-so's place because he's got like this really nice place for you to stay. And all these like things like, oh, I got to dress in a weird costume, but man,
so it becomes weird Airbnb where you want to go stay there because you're like, it's got a great location. It's a real experience.
Yeah, it is. But they're like, suddenly you get these guys who are trying to they're fighting over it. Like, no, I want to go to Tom Cruise's place because I heard he's got.
I definitely don't want to be Tom Cruise's Garden Hermit. I don't know what's going on over there.
He's got you doing stunts with him. That's crazy.
That would be the least of my worries, honestly.
He comes in, he's just all energy with you every day.
I changed my my thing that I discovered in Australia because of our conversation.
It's now Tom Cruise's Hobbit house.
No, it's not, but it's not too far off. Australia's famous Nullarbor, I don't know. Nullarbor Plain. There we go. Nullarbor Plain is a lovely, eerie place, flat and desolate. It draws the adventurous, the nomadic, the strange. Those who have crossed its 1,030 miles have reported UFOs hovering in the sky and the mysterious Min lights. I don't know what those are, but there's a link and I want to look at it now. Dancing on the horizon. In the last few years, however, a growing number of reports have come in of odd humanoid creatures living along the Nullabor's treacherous 90-mile strait.
What?
Creatures so well organized and intelligent that they have formed their own community, BallaGnomeia. It's just a bunch of garden gnomes. The first reported gnome sighting occurred in 2018 at the Wolsba. God, why aren't they regular words? This is English. Rest stop about 30 miles east of BallaGnomeia Roadhouse in Western Australia. Now I feel like I'm making the words harder than they have to be. Although no one knows for sure where the gnomes originated from, strong evidence points towards Queensland or how they came in to settle the Nullarbor. It is believed that they were from.
Hold on. What? Are these actual just garden gnomes or are these?
It's just garden gnomes on the side of the road, but they're in like groups. It's like that stinking like what was the pony henge?
Pony henge, yeah. I remember you talking about that one.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think it's mostly based on Zach's thing of talking about living hermits. But now I'm picturing that like at the stretch of road, I was like, oh man, there's people living out there, and you're like garden gnomes. What?
So now you equate garden gnomes with garden hermits?
Well, yes, but also like I'm like, is Kirk talking about real people like have started living out there, and they're like that's just like they've taken that up like to like how they're living out there, but you're talking about people are just putting statues out.
A lot of garden gnomes along the side of the road, and now it's become a thing. And they leaned into it in this article though. It says since its founding, BallaGnomeia has grown considerably. Although caution should be exercised when approaching the gnomes, they've been known to abscond with a picnic lunch or two. They appear friendly enough and enjoy interacting with tourists. However, if you decide to camp at Warlaba, be warned that gnomes are a highly festive, rowdy species whose parties are known to last all night. This sounds like a haunted doll watch from freaking Bim Bam.
Nah, we can't start doing that.
Hold on, it's like BallaGnomeia. I'm looking for some pictures of this because I'm not finding any pictures of this thing.
So here's the article very weird. Atlas Obscura on the. Well, Atlas Obscura is all about like very obscure stuff. Like it's usually very much off the beaten path and not like super well known. That's what I like about it.
I spelled it pretty much the same way. Why didn't it not find anything for me? That's weird.
It's literally just a bunch of garden gnomes on the side of the road. I love that one just standing there with sunglasses flicking off whoever passes by.
I'll be honest, like if this is like this nice like 90 mile stretch of like pristine country, and all of a sudden somebody's putting up garden gnomes, I might be kind of annoyed with that. Like if you, like,
no, and it's got magic
locals, but like I'd be like, what the shit? Like
no, he dropped like 3 things that I immediately had to look up. Like the Min light is these like folklore lights that were part of the Aboriginal myths, predating Europeans even getting there. That said that like there's these lights in the sky, and you would sometimes they would follow or approach people and disappear when fired upon. So I guess that means a lot of people try to shoot the lights, but
that's
apparently
so
anyone who chases the lights and catches them will never return to tell the tale.
They get turned into a gnome.
Yeah, and that's what happens. And now there's a bunch of gnomes out there. And then I also looked up garden gnomes because I was like, why do people have garden gnomes? But they're very old. Started in 13th century Anatolia and then reemerged in 16th century Italy. But the current version originated in 19th century Germany. And apparently they're supposed to bring good luck and protect your garden.
Good luck, gnomes.
I mean, if I ever get to Australia, I mean, I've got a Chicago Bears garden gnome here. And I'll take it with me, and I'll add it to the mix. But that seems
if you get caught in customs
smuggling a gnome
a gnome. Sir, is this an American gnome?
No, he just has a Chicago jersey on. He was made in China.
There we go.
All right. So my last one here it's a very quick one. And I think it ties in more. I mean, I'm normally the movie correspondent, but this is a TV rated thing. It's a brand new show on Netflix. It just came out September 17th. I've already watched the whole thing. It's called Squid Game.
Heck yes. I finished it yesterday.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And most people I mentioned it to are like, what's Squid Game? We haven't heard of it yet. And it's a Korean based show. It is 9 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of cash-strapped players accept a strange invitation to compete in children's games. Inside, a tempting prize awaits with deadly high stakes, a survival game that has a whopping $40 million prize at stake, which is like, it's 4-point-some billion won in Korea. This show is...
Yeah, how does that translate? What did it say?
It's like in $38. It's $38 million approximately.
Okay, it's still a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, they say like something billion, like 20s of billions of dollars or won. I was like, I have no idea how much that is.
Yeah, and it's basically, I mean, they have these 400 and some people there, and they are competing in like the first game. The title of the first episode is Red Light, Green Light. I will say show that in there.
Has the slow burn, like that podcast we just talked about. I feel like there was a lot of like slow parts to it, and then it would just get super intense, and then it would be slow again and super intense.
Like most Netflix shows, they probably have one too many episodes where they could have narrowed something down to get you into one less episode. The show's got some good humor parts to it. It's got some very intense, like emotional parts, and there's like some very violent things going on as well.
Some very graphic violence. I would equate it to the Hunger Games, but rather than children trying to kill each other, it's adults playing like hopscotch.
Yeah, the title is
they don't actually play hopscotch, but they play kids games. And do you think Squid Game is actually a game? Like I've never heard of it or even seen it.
It's a Korean based game, I think, and I'm assuming it's a real. I'm assuming it's an actual real thing, like a real.
That is a very weird game. If it is a very weird game.
Well, you just talked about hopscotch. I mean,
it is close to hopscotch in a way,
but there's like some
hopscotch
weird stuff
and like Gladiator.
I think kids don't play it as rough as they do in this thing here, but man, this show, like I just told my wife, I'm like, all right, let's check this out. And it came out and we immediately like episode 1 in, you're like, holy crap. Like what is going on here?
It's intense, but it's really good. Did you finish the whole series?
Yeah. I finished all of it. Yes.
It's really good. And I liked the twists. I like them.
No spoilies. I haven't seen it.
No spoilies, but it's good. It's worth watching. If you're squeamish at all, don't watch it though.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it's funny when there's dubbing. to it. I haven't watched a dubbed movie or show in a long time, and it's just sometimes it's kind of goofy. I forgot how goofy it could be.
It's got. I mean, it's not. You can watch it with subtitles if you want, but it is all dubbed into English. Some of it does come across a little bit weird, like most of those do. It's not as bad as what's that? Money Heist is another show on Netflix where like the person would say something, and I also had like the closed caption on, and the sentences weren't matching up. Like they would use different words, and I'm like,
this one was like that too. This one was like that too because I did have both on, and I was like, oh, can't do this because they don't match.
Yeah. But yeah, I found this to be like a quick like little hidden gem that I wasn't expecting or knew anything about going into it. Besides just seeing the preview and was like thinking it was pretty good.
Yeah, definitely worth a watch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Discovery Weekly. And thank you so much, Keith, for coming by and sharing your discoveries. You always have some good ones. And we look forward to your movie calls. I also have one in the can that you called in about that now it probably doesn't even make any sense because it was in reference to an episode we did for forever ago about Juggalos. And I saw it and we still haven't played it on the show.
I made a reference about Juggalos?
Yes.
Oh, that's weird.
Because we were talking about it that one episode.
Yeah. I think you guys offended a lot of Juggalos and Juggalettes with that one.
I'm sure we did.
Non-stop mail.
Yeah, we've gotten so many emails.
But I don't remember making that call. So if you want to play it again, I don't remember it.
I'll just play it just so you remember it. Mm-hmm. All right, friends. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.